Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Weyburn City Council, held in the council chambers at 5 p.m. Monday, September 14th. This is the third last meeting of the whole council, of this council that was elected, and then we'll be moving into elections November 9th. And we'd like to see everyone come out to the elections and vote for the candidate of your choice. First thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting and strategic planning and priorities meeting held August 17th, 2020. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion, Your Worship.
Do I have a second?
Your Worship, I'll second that.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. Additions to the agenda. Council. Nothing? Mr. Warren.
There's no additions from administration tonight, Your Worship. Thank you.
Your Worship, there's an announcement from the library, Regional Weyburn Public Library.
All right, and we'll have that. I'll make sure we, in inquiries and announcements, that you make the announcement. Thank you. There's no public hearings and notices. Right now we have a proclamation of Culture Days. And I'd like to ask Alice Newfield to say a few words here, if you would, please, to start.
Good afternoon. Whoops, I better make it. Good afternoon. Culture Days is a local, provincial, and national celebration of culture that aims to increase the awareness, accessibility, participation, and engagement of all Canadians in cultural activities in their communities. The City of Weyburn is extremely proud to promote this 2020 virtual event and continue to be the leader for SAS culture by being the only community to have had Culture Days every year, including this year for the past 11 years. This is a wonderful opportunity for the arts in our community to shine, to show off the many talents, and to come together in partnership to increase our community's awareness of art, culture, and heritage. The theme this year is Unexpected Intersections, which encourages creative and outside-the-box thinking to reveal new avenues of discovery, learning, and expression. And this has been a perfect theme for 2020. This virtual event kicks off on September 25th and runs until October 25th. Over 30+ virtual videos by many different artists and groups will be made available for viewing by visiting the City of website. There is something that will interest everyone. Thanks to the participation of our community partners who have contributed towards this virtual experience, our community can enjoy a wide assortment of arts, cultural, and heritage experiences. This would not have been made possible without our partners, and I'll just list the partners. SAS Culture, the Weyburn Arts Council, the Weyburn Pottery Club, Southeast Newcomer Services, Open Air Market, Métis Nation Local 87, Weyburn Crocus Quilters Guild, Weyburn Wood Carvers, and the Weyburn Public Library. So be sure to tune in on September 25th by visiting the City of Weyburn website. I'm sure you won't be disappointed. Thank you.
And if you would come forward, please. As we read the proclamation and sign it, I'll have you come to right or left. Proclamation of Culture Days in Weyburn. Whereas cultural participation and activity enriches and defines the identity of Weyburn, serves as a mechanism of resilience and recovery, and improves the quality of life of its citizens, and whereas arts and culture participation makes vital contribution to the development and well-being of individuals in society, and whereas Weyburn believes that community-based culture celebrations enhance the connections between citizens of diversity, interests, abilities, and culture, and whereas culture arises and flourishes first locally, and whereas Weyburn has already shown its intention to implement projects that affirm both its inclusive cultural identity and the activity participation of its citizens in the cultural life of the municipality, and whereas an annual national initiative, Culture Days, exists as a catalyst that connects individuals and creators, eliminates barriers, and stimulates understanding, appreciation, and exploration of arts, culture, and heritage so that every individual in the country has a deeper connection with themselves, their community, and Canada. And whereas Culture Days is a national initiative and Weyburn has been an active and long-standing participant, therefore I, Marcel Roy, Mayor, City of Weyburn, do hereby proclaim September 25th to October 25th as Cultural Days in Weyburn. There we go. There you go. Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Here, I'll just get you past that down. We have, there's no reports of standing committees. We have the consent agenda. We have the water treatment plant report, cash activity report for July, the water treatment plant report August 2020, and the building report for August. Do we have a motion, please, to accept these?
Your Worship, I'll move that the items on the consent agenda be accepted as presented.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Motions. Accounts payable.
Yes, Your Worship, I'd like to move that the purchases in the amount of $1,144,025.01 from August 14th to September 10th, 2020 be approved.
Your Worship, I'll second that motion.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. We have accounts payable with a pecuniary interest.
Your Worship, I'll step out for this one.
Your Worship, I'm prepared to make a motion that the purchase dated August 18, 2020, with pecuniary interest has been disclosed be passed for payment. The purchase includes accounts payable $2,564.05.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. There's introduction of bylaws. There are none. Unfinished business, there is none. New business is a development permit, discretionary use. This comes from our Planning and Development Coordinator, Janine Fletcher. If you would, please. No, not really. You? Okay. Yeah, okay, go ahead. This, Jeff would declare himself as a conflict of interest in this, so he removed himself.
Okay.
Councillor Richards. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor Roy, council members, city staff, and members of the public. I'm Janine Fletcher, the new Planning and Development Coordinator with the City of Weyburn. Tonight I'll be presenting an application that we have received for a development permit at 1720 East Avenue. It's for a shipping container, which is considered a discretionary use in the current zoning bylaw, so it requires council approval. So some background information. The property is located on East Avenue near the intersection of East Avenue and 16th Street. This map shows the location of the subject property and the approximate location of the shipping container in the northwest corner of the property. The applicant is the Liquor Spot, who currently leases the land. They are intending to use the shipping container for storage purposes. All property owners within a 75-meter radius of the property have been notified of the development permit application and have been given the opportunity to comment on the application. The subject property is currently zoned medium industrial and is surrounded by predominantly light and medium industrial uses. The closest residential property is approximately 120 meters away from the subject property. So I conducted a site visit to where the shipping container has been placed to give you an idea of the impact that it has, or the lack of impact that it has. This is the view from East Avenue facing south. So this is across the street. As you can see, there are trees on the west side of the property that are fairly mature and will screen the shipping container from view from the neighboring property. The next view is from the East Avenue property line facing south. Again, you can see better there the trees that are screening the shipping container from view. And then last, it's the view from interior to the subject property facing northwest. And as you can see, the trees go all the way along the shipping container there. So given that the subject property is located within the medium industrial zone and the surrounding properties are zoned light and medium industrial, with the closest residentially zoned property being more than 120 meters from the property, the shipping container will be screened from the neighboring industrial property to the west by mature trees and fencing, and the shipping container has a setback of more than 3 meters, so it will have minimal impact on the visibility and sight lines along East Avenue and will not encroach on the road right-of-way. So City Council has 3 options for considering this application. So the first option would be to approve the placement of the shipping container for storage as proposed without further conditions. The second option would be to approve the placement of a shipping container for storage as proposed, subject to the following conditions, and those include that it has to be related to the primary commercial use. It cannot be leased or used by an outside party other than the property owner or the land leasee. They are prohibited for the storage of junk, trash, or other forms of refuse. They shall be kept locked from unauthorized access. They have to have drainage holes. They can't be plumbed or electrified. They shall be painted and maintained to be aesthetically pleasing. They have to be screened by a fence or a solid wall. They can't be located on landscaped open space that's required by the zoning bylaw. And they shall be maintained within the property maintenance bylaw. The third option would be to refuse the placement of the shipping container, and council would have to give reason as to why it's being refused. So the staff recommendation is that development permit application 2020-015 for the placement of a shipping container at 1720 East Avenue be approved, subject to conditions as outlined in option 2.
Yes, Your Worship, again, thanks so much for the information you've given us. They're very detailed. I appreciate that very much. The motion will read as, that the discretionary use permit, development permit application from the liquor spot for the placement of a shipping container on 1720 East Avenue for the purpose of long-term storage be approved with the recommended conditions.
Second?
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Discussion?
Thank you. Does the liquor spot, Marcel, turn on your mic.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Does the liquor spot rent that building there, or is it just a container that they're looking at?
They are renting, I believe, the building and the land adjacent to it.
Okay, so this isn't just an isolated area? Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. If you would, please, Mr. Richards. There was one motion that was missed here, and my mistake on that. We'll go back to motions, revisit that part of the schedule, or agenda, I should say. The library board appointment. Mr. Wheeler?
Yeah, Your Worship, on behalf of the Weyburn Public Library, I'd like to make the motion that Matthea Fedak be appointed to the Weyburn Library Board for the remainder of 2020.
you have a second?
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Very good. Moving forward. Janine, can we have you come forward too in our inquiries and announcements? If you would make an announcement, please. Oh, sorry. Oh, there we go.
So everyone should be advised that City Council had passed a resolution on August 17th that the public hearing for the new official community plan and the new zoning bylaw documents, they were to be a public hearing today, September 14th. Due to some amendments that had to be made to the documents, the public hearing has been postponed to Tuesday, October 13th at 5 p.m. Please refer to the public notices on the City of Weyburn website for the full public notice and all of the amendments that have been made. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Wheeler, you had one?
Yes, another announcement from the Weyburn Public Library. Due to COVID-19, the Public Library had to postpone a very special event. The 100th anniversary was to be celebrated this year. So rather than trying to do social distancing celebration, they'd prefer to put it off until next year and reschedule it so when they can actually have a gathering of more than 30 people. So the date will be announced in the near future.
Thank you. Mr. Mickle.
I have one question, Your Worship. I'll address this to our engineer. Jennifer, maybe you can give the citizens of Weyburn some information on the water. I'm talking about the city water. There's a bit of an odor at this time of year, which is nothing new at this time. It happens in the past, but maybe give us some detail as what to expect and what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give a bit of background. So the City of Weyburn draws from Nickel Lake, which is raw, untreated water. And the quality and quantity of that water is affected by many factors, including runoff, precipitation, temperature, and wind. So the primary sources of the taste and odor problems that we are currently seeing in our drinking water are from algae and bacteria. Despite the taste and odor concerns, I want to let everybody know that the water is still completely safe for consumption. There's no issues on that side, and this is proven through continual testing that the water treatment plant does. So just a little bit of historical data. The last 4 years have shown a reduced water volume in Nickel Lake, and this is due to below average runoff and precipitation, kind of your snowfall and your rain the past few years. So when we have low water levels, this creates an environment for naturally organic materials or algae blooms to grow. And then when you get light temperature and nutrient conditions, they'll add to that environment. So this ecological imbalance, along with the high and low temperatures we're seeing this time of year during the late and summer, early fall, encourages the algae to bloom and die. So what happens is, when we send it through the treatment plant and remove the contaminants, these factors trigger that kind of earthy, fishy, or grassy smell that residents are seeing coming from their tap. But just to let them know, the city staff is completely trained and they perform tests every 4 hours to make sure the water is safe and the contaminants are removed, as well as we send multiple samples weekly to the provincial lab to ensure that they're meeting the stringent requirements. So despite the odor and taste, which we're continually working on, continually trying to find a balance so that we can avoid that, it's still completely safe for consumption. And just to let everybody know, if they do want more information, all of this is on the city website, weyburn.ca, as well as you can find the 2019 annual water treatment report, and it goes into a lot more detail. So if anybody would like that, that's on the city website as well.
Thank you so much, Jen.
Any other queries? Nothing? With that, there's no notice of motions, so I therefore move this meeting adjourned. Thank you.